I like it is that whole, I mean, it's a nice composition, but there's also, what I'm attracted to is the tension that's in this picture, that tension between the photographer and the subject. And there's almost a kind of sinister tone to it, you know, and the way that this guy is looking out at the photographer, and this one too. And you get this sense of, you know, the photographer being someone who clearly is enough in the culture that he could get to this place and know where it is and be this close to these people, this group. And yet there's definitely that sense of distance and tension between the photographer and who he's documenting here. And this is I learned last night, I don't know if I can actually remember exactly, it's like a mud derby race or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's something that happens in this town in Florida where the photographer is from. He now lives in New York. And his family went to these when he was younger. And so he does, it's something that he's both familiar with, he's engaged in, and yet he feels now distant from. And you can really feel that in the picture, all of that.
Yeah, this is an interesting picture to me. I think it was maybe a week or so ago when the Slow Exposure had some really great blog coverage, right? Wasn't it CNN or? Yeah. So there was a dialogue on there, someone streaming the email about you know, representing Southern culture, you know, and you know, someone that's lived here for several years and now has moved away. I still I care passionately and very, you know, I love this part of the country, and I've been sort of both inside it and outside it, and you know, this is a picture that superficially you could say fits into that sort of stereotype of Southern behavior, right? Southern, you know, activity, Southern culture, but you know, Brett already talked in a very accurate, perceptive way about what it tells you about the nature of photographic motivation, the relationship between the photographer and subject, which is involved and it's intimate and it's personal. You know, to me, this is so much more about primarily about male culture and sort of a male perspective. But then there's this young girl, you know, who's right in the center of the picture, sort of has her back to the camera, but it's not exclusively male. I mean, it's something. It's more about a community and a way of life and a pastime that are followed in that community. But of course, with the flag and other elements of it, it's got this sort of overtones of let's just be direct about it, sort of the Southern, you know, redneck behavior, you know. But actually, it's a great picture, and it's so much more than what it appears to be on the surface, and that's why it's important that this show and everything it represents continues, because it's not just about, you know, it's too narrow a way of looking at it to talk about this just as an image of Southern culture. Yes, that's the place that's represented here, but it's much more about, you know, universal culture, primarily male behavior, just what things people do when they get together, and that differs all over the country as well. It shouldn't be any one thing. So it was great. This is a picture that I know Brett especially was sort of really into when we were looking at the show the other morning, and we just kept coming back to it, and I sort of learned about the way to see it through him, and just his interest. It was interesting for me, you know, because I've sort of, you know, moved away from here now and kind of know what an image like this means in terms of in a superficial sense, but he was engaging with it in a different way that brought me into it and made me look at it differently, and that was great for me because I could get past that sort of, you know, superficial notion of this showing of just a particular slice of the Southern life. So I've probably gone on too long about it, but it is a good photograph. It's quite large, as you can see, and I think it works. Everything about it works because you're able to see and really cotton on to some of those things that Brett put so well about the way that these different subjects are engaging with the top. There is a kind of edge of something there that sort of unsettles you, but at the same time brings you in.
Just one last thing. I talked a little bit about how I like it when pictures reveal themselves in stages over time to me, and it took me a full 24 hours. I came in the next day and I saw noticed before. I was so fixated on this group and the relationship between the photographer and them that I really hadn't even noticed how strange it is that we have a for sale sign here. And that hit me the next day, and then I see that this guy's actually doing some work. He's got like a grill or something. So I don't know, it became even more mysterious for me after that.